A weary calm reigns on the Gaza Strip. In the city and refugee camp of Khan Yunis, Palestinians eagerly wait the departure of the neighbouring Israeli settlers. But many die-hard settlers refuse to leave and promise to sabotage Prime Minister Ariel Sharon's disengagement plan. The streets of Khan Yunis are calm, but the threat of war is always close on the front line between the refugee camp and the Israeli settlement. We hope good things will happen in the near future. We want to live in happiness, without any fear and with freedom of movement. I hope it would be good for the economy and that people can work in a better way.
نتمنى ان شاء الله انه هذا يروح من ذول يعني الكل بيستنى وان شاء الله يكون خير يعني.
Abu Anwar Ghaly has owned this garage for the last 8 years. The recent calmness and the pledges from both sides to keep it calm makes him think that finally there is hope. But as with most Gazans, Abu is cautiously optimistic about the calmness. The situation could deteriorate. We are in the test period. We hope that the situation will get better. It's like a pregnant woman who is wanting a baby. Maybe it's very good, but sometimes she loses the baby in the end. The Israeli army has often attacked the camp to prevent militants from attacking the Gush Katif settlements with their mortars. The last Israeli incursion here happened in December. Several houses were destroyed and the local market was left in shatters. Some inhabitants have moved back to their exposed homes. The Israeli tanks went down the hill and they entered the area from the street behind. They started to destroy a house and a fence of the next house. Then they continued to destroy the next houses, then came back to destroy the market. The children in the area say they are safer now, but they don't feel completely out of danger yet. Some Israeli soldiers are still shooting. An eerie quietness reigns on the playground. The militant groups on the Gaza Strip say they will keep calm for now. The situation depends on Israel, how Israelis' response would be to the calmness and how Israel meets the demands and the conditions of the Palestinian parties, especially free prisoners. Islamic Jihad is dissatisfied with what they have seen on the ground. But they say they still will work with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. We did not talk about a specific period to keep the calmness when we met the President Abu Mazen and the Egyptian delegate. But Israel must show good intentions through real steps. The only serious break of the calmness has been a suicide bombing in Tel Aviv on the 11th of March. A Damascus branch of Islamic Jihad said that they were responsible, but this is still being denied in Gaza. Shortly stated, we said that the Islamic Jihad movement is committed to peace, and it is no information about this operation, and this is clear.
التصريحات التي نسبت أو التي تدعي أن القيادة في الخارج.
In Khan Yunis, as in other parts of the Gaza Strip, Hamas and Islamic Jihad have gained legitimacy in their fight against the Israeli forces. The Israelis regard them as terrorists, most Gazans as resistance fighters and heroes. Many people have sacrificed their lives during the Intifada. The people are tired of war, but have not yet seen the benefit of calmness. Situation is bad, and now we are working all day, earning only 20 shekels. Before I was working in Israel, and that was good for me. Israel is still closed and the situation difficult. Hamas' strong engagement in social welfare activities and charity have given them a very strong position on the poor and undeveloped Gaza Strip. Recently, Hamas won a landslide victory in municipal elections. We are not worried about anything. We know we're on the American terror list, but the latest election results show that Hamas represents a big part of Palestinian society. And this means that whoever is hostile against Hamas is the enemy of the Palestinian people. Hamas say it is too early to judge Mahmoud Abbas' actions, but notes that he has a big internal problem. Hamas will participate in future elections and say there is no contradiction between military resistance and politics. They see the announced unilateral Israeli withdrawal from Gaza as their victory. The Israeli expected withdrawal is the fruit of the resistance. It came to decrease the resistance pressure on Israeli occupation army. Because of that, it is a victory for the Palestinian resistance and Hamas movement. The withdrawal of the Gaza settlements will give some breathing space to the tightly packed Palestinians on the Gaza Strip. They also hope that the calmness will give some freedom of movement. For the moment, the Israeli army controls all exits, whether it is by land or by sea. The fishermen on Gaza stay mostly close to the shore to avoid attention from the Israeli Navy patrolling its coasts. The economy has suffered badly during the last years, and now many survive on the help that they can get from outside. But even though the fishermen can't go far, the sea still offers both food and some income for those who know where to look. And for children, a beach is still a beach, even on a chilly East Mediterranean coastline.
Paradise.
A few kilometres away, the Gazan shore is seen from another perspective.
Sorry, it's not a clear day. It's a really clear day.
But since the Israeli government decided to dismantle the settlement, the view has changed for the settlers. For Moshe, this may be the last spring in a home he feels he has fought for. He lost his arm in the Yom Kippur war and almost his hand in the terrorist attack on the road a few years ago. The Palestinian militants have also attacked the settlement by mortars. He has collected hard evidence.
When we talk about missiles, or we talk about borders,
Having endured
these are
this,
not
he is convinced
abstract.
that his home will be saved once more.
This is the fact that we have survived here under constant bombardment for 4.5 years without any rational explanation other than divine intervention makes me believe that we will continue to have divine intervention and we will not be driven out of here. We intend to remain.
Originally from New York, Moshe lives in Gush Katif with his wife. They have lived in Israel for 37 years, the last 8 of them in the settlement. He feels stabbed in the back by his own government, but his religious faith is firm.
Consider us religious fanatics, if you like, but we believe we are here because God commands us to be here and to settle the land. And if you tell me about United Nations resolution, this, that, or the other, the Bible is somewhat older than the United Nations. And for me at least, the Bible is far more valid as a justification for our being here than some line drawn in 1947 in the United Nations.
It is uncertain how many of the settlers that will fight to the bitter end. Around 8,000 settlers live in the Gush Katif settlements. There is no visible signs of change. No one seems openly to be preparing to move in the coming months. Some resist passively by doing nothing, others organise themselves. That soldiers might have to force Jews out of their home is troubling, not only for Gush Katif residents. Another problem is the graveyard. Highly protected, very close to Palestinian lands, lies the Jewish graveyard. The 46 occupants of this graveyard have to be dug up and evicted. Among them is Rebecca Winter's husband. It is hard to imagine him being dug up. It doesn't matter how much I prepare myself. I don't know how it is going to be. She will not leave her husband's grave in the custody of the Palestinians. If I am not here, this grave is not going to be here. Exhumation is also forbidden in Judaism, except in the most extraordinary circumstances. The army rabbis will deal with the 3 soldiers buried here, but the local religious authorities don't know what will happen to the rest. The mourners will not have to sit in the traditional 7 days. They will have to sit 1 day, and they will rip their clothes. But the tradition does see digging out graves as a very wrong thing to do. The removal of the graveyard is one of the biggest challenges facing Prime Minister Ariel Sharon.
Well, further actions, of course, will be both political. In other words, we are trying within the Likud to force an element of national referendum. Secondly, there's the budget coming up. The government could fall if the budget is not authorized by the end of March. Those are 2 open possibilities. And we continue to plan for the showdown, which will be in the Gaza Strip sometime during June and July. Well, we hope to be able to gain experience from civil disobedience demonstrations all across the globe. We're studying globalization demonstrations that were in Seattle and Washington. We're studying the film Gandhi. We're doing all sorts of possibilities. The problem, of course, is getting a very good disciplined unit with marshals and proper demonstration techniques. It's difficult in Israel because both in economic and social welfare demonstrations, things sometimes get out of hand. We do not plan for violence. We are giving instructions to refrain from any sort of violence, despite what we think is incitement coming out of the Prime Minister's office in order to heat up the atmosphere. This is very unhealthy.
The settler organisation plans to deploy 100,000 settlers on the Gaza Strip and North and West Bank.
Several people should be immediately set off to Washington to work on Congress, especially among the right wing, the neoconservatives, and the Christian right.
Israeli popular opinion supports Sharon's withdrawal from Gaza. Various polls indicate around 2/3 of the population supports disengagement. But it is a different matter altogether to start physically removing Jews from their homes in the Gush Katif. Die-hard settlers don't care about polls. They want to stay in their protected, God-given bit of paradise forever.
If we stand up to and are victorious, we will have stood up to and been victorious against the entire world, including that part of the world which we would have expected to support us. I refer to